All right, everybody, welcome to this edition of It's Brewing at McEwen, a USF baseball podcast. We are joined today by the head coach of USF baseball, Coach Mohl. We had him on the show about a month ago, and it's really good to have him back. For any new listeners, he is in his seventh season as the Bulls head coach, and ironically, he's coming off of a series where his team just played against Tulane, his alma mater. Um, he pitched there in the early 2000s, helped them get to Omaha in 2005, and in 2006 he had an undefeated 9-0 season on the mound as a senior. And in addition to that, this past fall he actually was inducted into Tulane's Hall of Fame. So a lot of history with Coach Mohl and Tulane, and I just wanted to ask him in the beginning here, how was it being back at your alma mater? I saw that you were able to bring your son Hunter with you. How was that from like a non-baseball perspective?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, from a non-baseball perspective, we got to get everybody saying it the right way. It's two-lane, kind of like a two-lane road, not
Tulane, okay, okay.
a lane. But no, it was 7 years of my life I spent there. I met my wife, who I had our first kid with, and who's Hunter. And obviously, we had a lot of success when I was a player there. Four regionals, two super regionals, and a World Series trip. So everything that I wanted to accomplish in my baseball career and being a draft out of there, I got to accomplish. But more importantly, I met my first wife there and my first son with her. So it was very special for me to be able to take him back. He'd never seen a game at that stadium. So he was our bat boy all weekend long. And I got to show him around where me and his mom used to hang out. And it was a very special trip for the two of us.
That's awesome. I'm really glad that you guys got to have that experience. And I could tell just seeing him on camera sometimes watching the games, he looked really happy to be there. So that's really cool that you guys got to do that. And then thinking about the past weekend, obviously didn't get off to the start that you probably wanted, dropping the first two games, but you know, the team was able to kind of stick together through a challenging first couple of games, and I feel like that was a game that your team really needed. Even looking at the AAC standings, you guys were still close to the top, and then getting that win kind of kept you near the top. How big was it to get that win on Sunday, and what can you say about who I think is the MVP of that game, Chandler Dorsey?
Yeah, I mean, we went into Sunday morning for the team meeting, scouting report. You can't change the past. We've lost two games. It's a tough place to play. I've been here for 10 years now. We've never won a series there. It's a tough place to play. And I told the guys, I said, we're gonna figure this out one way or another. I said, we're gonna see if what kind of team we are. We're either gonna fight and punch, counter punch until the game's over, or we're gonna fold. And that was my challenge to those guys as we were in scouting report meeting, and they answered the bell. They punched, they counter punched, and they punched, and they finally win it. And Chandler Dorsey, I thought Dominic Madonna did a good job to keep us in it, but I thought Chandler Dorsey was outstanding. Coming in for three and a third, very efficient with his pitches. I think he only threw like 34, 35 pitches. But to see him go in there and close the door and give our team a chance to win, that was a huge step, not only for the team, but just Chandler in general, to be extended like that, because couldn't tell you the last time he threw that many innings.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the first time that we ever saw kind of Orion Kerkering get stretched out. I think in 2021. I mean, he may have done it before, but I kind of noticed like as the season went on, you would get a little more comfortable with it. Is that kind of something that you want to have like in the back of your mind, even for your high leverage relievers, is that they can have that capability?
Ideally, you want to keep them in their high leverage 1, 2 innings and get them in, get them out. But it was encouraging to see that if you needed Chandler to do more, that he was more than capable of doing it. And he was well rested. I mean, let's not lose sight of that. It's different when you're throwing maybe 2, 3 times in a week compared to once in a week. So, with his rest and everything, I thought he did an incredible job. Super proud of him. He closed the door on a tough weekend.
Definitely, definitely. I think, that kind of propels me into the next point is, I think that could really be a launching pad for your team. Given that now you're going to be able to play in your home environment for the next 8 games, do you feel like, the team morale and cohesiveness, the connectedness of the guys is in a good spot as they go into this 8 game homestand?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday proved that they're still in it. They could have easily folded and closed up shop and got swept, and they didn't do that. They kept punching, punching, punching. This team's not one to look, forward. We're one game at a time. We're gonna worry about today, and then we'll get to tomorrow when tomorrow comes. Does that jumpstart us into a streak? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I know that it was big in terms of a gut check and what this team's capable of doing. But again, like we're going day by day at this point. You can't look to the future. Just got to focus on the present day. But yesterday was a good team win in terms of guys picking each other up and and getting the job done.
Definitely, definitely. And another thing that was kind of on my mind for the show was the last time that we spoke, it was about a month ago. And ever since that point, about a month has passed, and two players have really just changed the dynamic of their season during that span. Matt Rose, when we spoke on March 11th, he was batting 212. Now he's batting 306, and he also had an AAC honor roll of the week last week. And then also Riley Skeen at that point, March 11th, had only pitched 2 innings. And ever since then, he's gone 10.2 innings, only allowed 1 earned run, and has 2 saves. So could you kind of just shed light on each of those guys separately? What has really what you've seen out of them the past month, and what you think has helped them to change their season around?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with Matt Rose. What we saw from him in the fall and the spring is what we're seeing now. A guy who's pesky with 2 strikes, he battles, plays solid defense, but really just a tough out when he sticks to who he is and just line drive after line drive or ground ball to the opposite side. He's a really good player. Now you got to keep in mind that he's still a newer player because he didn't play a whole lot last year. So a lot of it's just kind of mental and just being able to know who you are and stick to who you are. And I think we're seeing him starting to, come into his own where he understands who he is now. And then he goes out there every day and proves it. Skeen, on the other hand, he's very similar. I think he's finally understands who he is as a pitcher. He's not overpowering. He's not going to be a guy who's going to blow the fastball by you. He's a guy who's going to basically use the fastball for show, and he's going to pitch off his changeup and his slider. He had a little bit of a rough outing yesterday, which comes, it happens. But the difference is his mindset's different. He's not going to let that get him down. He's going to stick to who he is. He's going to fix it, and he's going to be better, the next time and learn from it.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely noticed progression in Riley. And like you mentioned with Matt, was you think it was just kind of like you said, some of the mental game of baseball, of allowing yourself to, be comfortable and maybe play more freely. Anything like that kind of you would say about Matt Rose?
Well, I think when Bozer went down and Matt was kind of forced to play, it forced him to have to, it's kind of fight or flight. You're either going to figure it out or you're not. And I think he finally came into his own where he started having a little bit of success and tasted that and understood what it is. And now I mean, still every day in BP, I'm on him about keeping the ball out of the air because that's not his game.
Mm-hmm.
I love him to death, but he's not Mighty Mouse. Uh,
Right.
he's got to keep the ball in the game and play to his strengths.
Definitely. And what have you seen from him at third base? How have you liked how he's handled that position?
Yeah, obviously it's kind of new for him. He played there a lot in the fall, a lot in the spring. But if he gets a glove on it, I feel good about it. We're not asking him to make the spectacular play or to do anything. Just if you get your glove on it, make an accurate throw to first, and he's done a great job of just making the routine play. We don't need anything fancy. We just need him to make the routine play.
Definitely. Yeah, I've seen much of the same, definitely. And my last question before I kick it over to John. Just going to give a kind of high level overview. The team right now is, despite some challenging games the past weekend, is still in a pretty good position conference wise. We're 7-5 in the AAC, in a tie for third place, and only 2 games behind the conference leader, which is UTSA. 1 game behind East Carolina, who's 8-4 in the conference. And now the Bulls get an opportunity, to have 2 home conference series, one against Rice, who's kind of been struggling. So Coach, you're in the hunt, which I'm just curious how that feels, and what are going to be your main point of emphasis this upcoming week, and to this week to make sure that your team really capitalizes on this opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the expectations to be in the hunt. So, am I surprised where we're at? No. Am I happy with where we're at? No. The expectations to get to the top. You got to remember this league is really, really good. You look at it, it is everybody is jumbled together right now. I think we got the tiebreaker over Wichita sitting in third. But I know Rice has been struggling, but if you look at their pitching numbers, they can really pitch. They might not have much offensively. So you can lose on any given day. That's why it takes, you gotta come prepared like it's the most important game of your season each and every day. That's going to be my stressor to these guys because when you think you have it figured out, and I'm sure we'll talk about the pitching here in a little bit, but as soon as you think you have it figured out, this game will turn around and smack you right upside the head. And that's just the way baseball is. It requires discipline, it requires effort, it requires focus, and if you take any of these teams for granted, you could easily look up and the score is not in your favor.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of what you just said of Coach Abdul Rahim. How he had a quote, "Stay paranoid," where he really wanted his guys to just completely forget their success and just focus on the next day. Is that kind of what you're getting at? Like, kind of just don't let the success get to your head, but also don't let the failures not get you down.
Well, that was my message to them. You got to be able to handle success. We sweep Wichita, and everybody's feeling really good about themselves, and it's like, oh, we arrived. No, that's not the way this works.
Right.
The past is the past. You can't get it back. It's a new opportunity the next day. So, they're learning, especially with the pitching, the pitching staff. They're learning, but every game is a grind. And if you play well, you win. And if you play bad, you lose. And unfortunately, at Tulane Friday and Saturday, we did not play well, and Friday we did not play well in any category in any phase of the game. So you got to show up, you got to bring your A game, and you got to go a full 9 innings.
Definitely. And one last thing before I hand it over. Talking about Rice, they're coming into town this weekend. I don't know much about that team, but I do know. I think Parker Smith is the name of their Friday night ace. He's having a pretty good season. Obviously, I think expectations were pretty high for him coming into the year as one of the better pitchers in the conference. Have you scouted him yet? Like, do you know what he's bringing to the table?
Yeah, I mean, Parker's going to be 91, 94. He's going to be a four-pitch mix guy with a slider, cutter, changeup. I was actually looking into him today. Big physical right-handed pitcher, kind of that, Texas kind of arm. And, he throws a bunch of strikes. He'll walk you if you get it, if you stay disciplined and stick to the approach. But Rice is, even when I grew up, Rice was notorious for pitching. They can really pitch. Offensively, they struggle a little bit, but again, it doesn't matter. You got to play the game, not the opponent.
Definitely, definitely. All right. Well, I'm about to hand it over to John, but before I do that, to everybody listening, please make sure that you follow the show on any platform that you listen to, whether that be Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Hit the plus sign, hit the follow, hit subscribe. If you do that, it's really going to help us out and help us grow our ability to promote and support USF baseball. But with that, I will kick it to John.
Thanks, Mark. How we doing, Coach?
Hey man, how are you?
Oh, we're living over here. Um, So I enjoyed watching the series this weekend. I'm glad you got to go back to Tulane. You alluded to talking about the pitching. I guess that's my role here. Um, so when the pitching staff runs into some struggles that they did this weekend, what issues are you noticing from them? Are they because it was odd. I think we had 22 walks on the weekend, and to see that across the board, like you said with last weekend, how well we were pitching, and then this weekend was like a complete flip of the script. Was it mechanical, or were they complaining about the mound at all? Was there any common theme that you noted?
Well, I mean, when you walk 22 and you hit 11, um, you can't blame it on any one thing. Me personally, I believe it's a mental thing. Um, it's being able to, if you guys watch the game, it feels like when we make a mistake, we make mistake number two behind it, and then mistake number three behind it. We never just stop the bleeding. Being able to step back off the mound and reset and get back in the moment, and that goes from Hunter Mink to Jack Siebert to Riley Skeen to Lawson Gailey. All of them were guilty of that this weekend. One mistake led to the next. Defensive miscue led to a big inning, or 2, 3 walks. One walk led to 2 walks, which led to 3 walks, which led to a hit by pitch. You can talk mechanics, you can talk all that. These guys have shown a week ago what they're capable of. Stetson was the first time we really reared our ugly head with the free passes when they put up 19. And then we resolved the issue the following weekend. I think we went between that weekend and the midweek game, we went 37 innings and only issued 5 walks. So it's there. It's not a mechanical thing. It's between the ears. It's handling success, and when things are going bad, being able to handle when things are going bad and get back in the moment.
Right. Yeah. The mistakes and the errors can be a little bit contagious. I've seen that firsthand. So with you mentioning the 11 hit by pitches to go along with the 22 walks, that adds up to 33 free bases over 3 total games, averaging 11 per game. As the pitching guru that you are, how do you address that? Because it's probably frustrating because you can't execute for them, and they have what it takes. So how do you kind of address that moving forward in preparation for Rice?
Just like I did after the Stetson game. I'm a teacher at trade. They're not trying to go out there and do that. They're not going out there trying to walk 22 or trying to hit 11 hitters. Tulane's a tough place to play. Let's not forget these guys are 18 to 22-year-old. They're getting crap talk to them and everything else, and the mental side of it, and maybe some of them just can't handle it. They're not mentally tough enough, but some of that comes with experience. Corey Kling went out there. I think he's going to be a really talented freshman for us. And as soon as he stepped on the mound, he even told me, he goes, "Well, I've never pitched in front of that many people before." And I'm like, it's understandable. Like you gotta get there. But for some of the other guys, it's a learning experience. Like I said, what we did against Stetson and going against Wichita, we're capable of doing it. We just have to mentally stay within the moment and worry about one pitch at a time. As coach speak as that is, that is how you're successful as a pitcher. Is did you execute? And if you executed time and time again, the results will be there at the end.
For sure. And those are my guys, so I'll ride with them any day of the week. I look forward to seeing them turn it around. There seems to be a few minor injuries on the pitching staff where guys are missing time here and there. Can you catch us up on the overall health of the pitching staff? Who's dealing with what from an injury or illness standpoint? And how are we addressing this in-house?
Yeah, I mean, it's been, it's an epidemic across baseball right now. I've never seen anything like it, just in terms of the kind of how banged up we've been. And kudos to the guys for battling through it. But we've had a bunch of just nagging little shoulder stuff, and Jula finally got back this weekend, and he looked like he was rusty. But we've had numerous guys on the shelf. Our trainer is doing everything he can. He's one of the best in the business, trying to keep these guys on. Unfortunately, there's certain things that you just can't prevent, and we've caught the bug just a little bit. But guys are starting to come back. Scrapes starting to feel good again. Skeen's obviously back. Kling was out for a little bit with the shoulder issue. Beavis was out he had a rib head pop out. So hopefully we get him back this week. Tanner battled it earlier in the year, and then Manriquez has been battling it as of late. So, it's a next man up mentality. It is what it is. There's certain things. Look at Major League Baseball right now. It's all over the map with all the crazy stuff going on these days.
Yeah, there's like 6 Cy Young candidates on the on the IL right now. It's insane.
Yep.
But speaking of injury, I think we saw Bobby Bozer come in like a pinch run kind of deal. But they mentioned not being cleared to swing yet. When do we expect him to be cleared to start swinging, and how is he progressing in his rehab?
He's been doing good. He wants to be back out on the field more than anybody. He actually took BP on Sunday at Tulane. Looked strong. So we'll give him another test run on Tuesday with BP and stuff. Maybe have him face some of our pitchers on Wednesday in a scratch setting. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Maybe we get him back this weekend against Rice.
I love to hear that. We definitely look forward to seeing him back on the diamond. And is in honor of Jackie Robinson Day, Coach, I want to ask you, do you collect baseball cards by chance? Or did you ever?
I was an avid baseball card collector, and then I moved off to college. I had every Kirby Puckett card and every Cal Ripken card ever made. And I used to hide them in my parents' house in this little attic space that we had. Well, they moved and forgot all about my baseball cards, so I lost every card I collected.
Same thing
His
happened
nightmare
to me.
So
Oh
I
my
regret that
gosh.
every day of the week because that was as a kid, all I did was get my allowance money and go straight to the baseball card shop with my best friend.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
as an avid collector, I can say how much that would pay me. I don't think you're ever gonna forget that one, but maybe I can round up some Kirby Puckets and some Cal Ripkins for you, Coach, and I'll bring them to the next game. Thanks for
Nice.
having us, Coach.
Cool. Awesome. So I'll close out the show. Just a couple more topics I wanted to go over with Coach. One thing before we go, I just wanted to highlight that on Sunday, April 28th, is going to be Coach Mohl and USF Baseball's Cut for the Cure game. It's a fundraiser for pediatric cancer. But I'll let Coach Mohl kind of speak a little bit more about it and how you can help.
Yeah, Cut for the Cure is something I've been doing since 2012. And then my wife passed away in 2013, and I made a promise to her before she passed away that I would not stop trying to raise money to find a cure for this. And me and myself, I decided to specialize in childhood pediatric type cancers. Obviously, because my son Hunter was 2 years old at the time, and seeing the kids struggle, these young kids who have so much life in front of them struggle battling this disease. That was kind of a passion of mine. So on the 28th against FAU, the team raises money for Versus Cancer, and we celebrated at the end by all of us shaving our heads together to support all those battling this disease. There's a link in my Twitter bio to get to the Versus Cancer website. All of our players have tweeted out or put on Instagram or their social medias links for theirs. I'm pretty sure you can go to the website and find it as well. I know that at the front gates of the stadium, they're going to have some iPads and stuff or some QR codes that people can scan to go to it. So it's a great cause. Very fortunate, blessed to have such great players and coaching staff that have, I think over the course of the time I've been here, have raised over $100,000 for it. So kudos to them for getting behind it. It's always a fun event to show our support for those, battling this ugly disease.
That's incredible, Coach. I think it's an amazing thing that everybody is supportive of and behind, and we'll definitely, obviously, be doing what we can to promote it. And we really look forward to that day. It's going to be good. Another thing I wanted to mention as well, I mentioned before we have an 8-game homestand, and this is a really good opportunity for fans to come see the Bulls play in person. They are going to be going on some road trips after that to East Carolina and San Antonio. Coach, what was what is your message to fans, encouraging them maybe to come out, and what does that mean to the players when they have big crowds? What does it do for them?
I mean, Wichita was a prime example. I mean, Wichita, you had the full football team out there, which is 100+ dudes. You had all of our fans. You had a electric atmosphere. That plays into our players. They feed off of that. When you show up on a Tuesday night and there's 200 people in the stands, our players feed off the energy. Energy's good. Our players love it. So we need you guys to come out and support us. We got a good thing going right now. We need the support. We got a Rice coming into town, trying to make some more headway in the conference standings. So, it's a beautiful ballpark to come sit in and take in the game, and we need you guys there.
Awesome. Very cool. And but yeah, that's pretty much all we got for today. We really appreciate Coach Mohl joining the show, and we're really looking forward to watching you guys. I'll be there on Sunday for sure. Going to try to make it out to another one if I can. But yeah, we're really looking forward to watching and supporting you guys this week. So thanks again, Coach.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Go Bulls.
Bye. Go Bulls.
What's up, Bulls fans, and welcome to a special edition of Top of the Order, with this episode coming to you after our interview with Coach Mohl. I am Adam Cartwright. Here with me is Matt Giordino. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Looking forward to another Bulls game tomorrow night. Also, really relieved to see that the Bulls pulled the game out this past weekend against Tulane, but really excited to dive into things.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to get right into it, as this is going to be a quick one. Starting with the recap, and look, I'm just going to do it. All right, Friday and Saturday, they, as Yogi Berra would say, it felt like deja vu all over again. I felt like they were the same game almost. And I'm just going to say it was a voodoo hex, because down in New Orleans sometimes that might happen, because just nothing was working. We didn't pitch well. We really didn't hit when we needed to. And again, they just got us leading into that Sunday victory you mentioned. What did you think about Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, think exactly what you're saying, and I think maybe we could have eaten some bad crawfish on Thursday. I know they posted some pictures of the seafood boil that they ate, or maybe they were maybe a little lethargic from all the food that they ate. But it was kind of like deja vu with the Friday and Saturday game, and it's kind of when we see our team not doing well, a lot of the time it ends up walking way too many batters, and one game we ended up walking 5 batters, and the other game we walked 9 batters. So we can't go and win games by walking guys at that rate. When we finally pulled out a win, we had a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, which it's always gonna give you a good chance to go out there and let your offense do some work.
Absolutely. You can't give that many extra outs in conference play, that's for sure. But that does lead us into Sunday, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We had 5 Bulls get extra or multi-hit games, led by Ben Loganboom with his 4-for-4 day. But Joaquin Moncay has 3 RBIs with his 2 hits. Matt Rose gets 2 RBIs with his 2 hits, including the big one there in the top of the 10th that ended up being the game winner. What were your thoughts on Sunday?
Yeah, much better all around game, and I think the thing that I'm most excited about or happy about is just the resiliency. You get in a tight ball game like that after getting your butt kicked the first 2 games, and being able to hang in there long enough to ultimately win the game. I think that was really exciting to see.
Absolutely, you're right. Another thing I really liked seeing was Chandler Dorsey went out there and threw 3.1 innings of no-run baseball, got 3 strikeouts. We've seen him go out there a couple of times this season to get 6 out saves. This was a 10-out save, so that was a real extended outing for him. That's something that's good to see. You would like to maybe see that, especially in tournament time, when maybe a guy going out there and throwing just 1 inning might not get to the length that you need when you have to play so many games in a row. But again, there's also the cross reference there. If he throws 10 outs, he's probably not going to throw again, for a couple of days versus the one inning. It is what it is, but it's just good to see. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the one thing about it is he pitched really efficiently too. In his 3.1 innings, he pitched 35 pitches, which is, really good, especially anytime you keep it under 15 pitches an inning. You're doing really good. You're doing something right. I think he got better as his outing progressed too. He struck out two out of the last three batters, got some weak contact to end the game. Really excited to see that performance from him, and I really hope he starts building on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we do hope we can build off that momentum of Sunday as we lead into our next couple of games here. 8 home games in a row coming up. So we will hope for some wins there. Well, we're going to move on now to looking at our conference pick'ems, which also means we're going to look at the conference games from last week. East Carolina and Charlotte. East Carolina won that series 2-1. UTSA Memphis, that was a UTSA victory 2-1. Wichita won their series over FAU 2-1. And then Rice, which was the split game for us, split series for us, pulled off their victory against UAB. As I said, you went 3-1, I went 4-0. Just that hairline split with Rice. What were your thoughts as you were looking over the scores for last week?
Yeah, you got that Rice and UAB series correct, and I think you and I were talking about it earlier about the importance of playing at home, and that probably was the difference maker in that series. But yeah, as to be expected, I think in a lot of ways ECU, UTSA, and FAU coming out with the victories. I think or actually rather Wichita State over FAU. Those were all kind of to be expected. I thought that it was interesting to see that Charlotte came out with a victory at ECU. I thought that was kind of the biggest storyline, avoiding getting swept on Sunday.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I was going to mention that as well. They did avoid that sweep. I think you had called a sweep, and I'd agreed. I thought we would see that as well. So kind of interesting to see them pull it off. Well, looking at this week, our first matchup is going to be Wichita State at ECU. I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. I'm going with all home teams here, so I got ECU. What do you think about that one?
I think it's going to be ECU, but I do think that Wichita State will pull off a win.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that might be a 2-1 series. Look, sweeps are hard. That's why it was so great that we got that one. Next game, Memphis at Charlotte. I'm taking the 49ers. How about you?
I'm going to go with Memphis here, actually. I know we're talking about the home team, but I think Memphis has been playing pretty good lately, even though they dropped the series against UTSA. I think they're a much tougher team than their record says.
That's true. That's true. I think so too. I question their pitching at times, but they can definitely swing the bat. So definitely a viable option there. Next series is going to be Tulane at FAU down in Boca Raton. I'm going to roll with the Owls. What about you?
Yeah, I'll say Owls, and they're going to win it 2-1.
2-1. Yep. All right, leads us to the final one. UAB will go to UTSA. I'm going to go with the Roadrunners. Meep. How about you?
I will go with the Roadrunners also, but I do think that UAB will pick up a win.
Yeah. Like I said, I went with all home teams just because when you look at these conference standings, it's so close that home field advantage just really does matter. And when you look at it, there's really only a couple of teams, especially when you take us out of it and just look at the remaining 9. There's really only a couple of teams that have really proven to have the ability to go on the road and make it happen. And both of those teams are playing at home this week. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, if you want to play along at home, post your thoughts and your picks, and we'll keep track of it. We'll talk about it. Next, we're going to move on to Name That Bull. Last week's answer was Alex Mendez. Big shout out to Rosemary Piedmont for her response on X. She got it. So congratulations to her. But it was Alex Mendez. One thing I do want to point out: how about graduating was a summa cum laude in biomedical sciences. And something I didn't mention was it was a dual major, because he got a business degree to go along with that, while playing 162 college baseball games. That's a lot. That's a lot to go through. So, congratulations,
That is,
Alex.
that is some achievement.
Yeah, it is. It is. Thank you for being a bull. And that was our answer. Moving on to this week's clues. I will go ahead and give those. Clue number one, this bull grew up in Springs, New York, where he hit 41 career home runs in high school, which set a new record for New York in the state. Once he got to USF, he kept that going, as he is the single season and career home run record leader for the Bulls. And then final clue, went on to play from 2000 to 2011 with a career average of 281. So if you know who that bull is, go ahead and comment on it, like Rosemary did last week, and we will see who it is. All right. Well, like I said, this one was going to be kind of quick, and that's all we have for tonight. Be sure to come out to the Red this Tuesday night as the Bulls look to avenge their heartbreaking midweek loss to FGCU. If you remember, we dropped that one in the bottom of the ninth. We will be looking to get that one back. Matt, do you have any thoughts on that, or any final thoughts as we close this one out?
Yeah, I think, like you said, we're trying to avenge a loss from earlier this season, and anybody that follows college basketball, you know that there's some importance to avenging a loss. So I'll be interested to see if we can do that against FGCU. But aside from that, just looking forward to seeing everybody out at the Red this weekend, and stay up to date. And we might have some news for you guys.
Absolutely. And guys, mark your calendars. Like I said in the beginning of the show, Bulls are at home for 8 straight. So get out to the Red. You got a great multiple opportunities to do that. Also, be sure to check out Thirsty Thursdays later on this week. We're dropping on Thursday. Again, they will get Mark and John will be giving you all the info that you need for the weekend series against the Rice Owls. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to the Brewing and Reviewing account to make sure that you don't miss any of our podcasts moving forward, and you'll get all the best Bulls baseball coverage that we can provide. From Matt and myself, we do want to thank you for listening tonight. We will talk to you guys next week, and go Bulls.
Go Bulls.